Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Stigma Busters. My name is Scott Curry. I am going to be your host today. I am joined by Deshawn and Crystal. Thank you for listening into our podcast on a monthly basis. This month's topic is going to be why SOR2 and what is SOR2 and why you should engage at whatever level you deem necessary. Just to remind everyone that this is a safe place and all three of us are trauma informed. So we try to use the most stigma aware, trauma informed language to not provoke, trigger, or cause a reoccurrence with your mental or substance use disorders. So please be hesitant to the language that we use, and we do apologize ahead of time if this podcast may cause you any harm. And if it does, please reach out to either one of us, and we would be more than glad to have a conversation regarding the matter. So happy Monday. It was a beautiful weekend, full of joy and happiness, I hope, for everybody. So today we're going to talk about why SOR2 and what is SOR2, right? So many people read my t-shirt and it says SOR and the number 2, recovery. And they're like, SOR2 recovery? Well, we use the word SOR, S-O-R, which actually stands for State Opioid Response to Recovery, as SOR2 recovery, and SOR2 is New York State Opioids Response Project, the second grant. And so we are all members and participants at our designated level from the grant from SAMHSA and OASIS. So SOR2 is established primarily because of the opioid epidemic that was happening throughout the Mid-Hudson region in New York State, statewide, and we're all peer specialists or recovery peer specialists at our designated agencies. So Deshawn, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, thank you again for having me, Scott. My name is Deshawn Gaskins, recovery peer specialist with SOR2.
Thanks for joining us today, Deshawn. Looking forward to your words of advice as always. Crystal?
Hi, everybody. I'm Crystal. I am one of the recovery coaches at MHA of Dutchess County. I am very happy to be here today. I'm excited about this podcast. We have some great stuff going on so far, so I'm ready to get started.
Awesome. Thanks, Crystal. Again, thank you for being here as well. And, we're first going to talk about from my experience of working with Crystal and the other peers at MHA and throughout Dutchess and Ulster and really the Mid-Hudson region, is the peers that are engaged in this grant and in this project are recovery warriors. We are so fascinated and devoted and passionate, not just about this grant and the opportunity to use its resources to help individuals in the community, but to really strengthen and broaden the recovery movement happening in the Mid-Hudson region. I know for myself, and Crystal and I were having this conversation last week, is even when the camera's off and the computer's closed, we're still constantly thinking of, okay, what did we work on today? What did we achieve? Who did we reach? Who did we support? But more importantly, what opportunities did we miss that we can improve on tomorrow to help build and strengthen what we're doing? So Deshawn, what's your input on being a recovery warrior?
Before I answer that, I want to say I'm glad you said that. Like, even after the laptops are closed and the phones are off, we're still not actively working, but passively working. We'll still come across a situation to where, we even that, like you said, after the laptops close, the phones off, we may run across somebody who still may need the support and who still may need the help, and we offer them the information, whether it's a card or flyer. We tell them about the program, we tell them about what we do, even off the clock. So one, I'm glad you said that, and I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
What you kind of just said it indirectly, is what's your view on being a recovery warrior and what that means for you?
Well, First off, my view is I love being a recovery warrior, first of all, because the fact that because of my knowledge and the resources and the things that I have, I'm actually able to help people. And like I said, on and off the clock, being the fact that, when our job stops, it doesn't mean that, people's addictions stop, people's, mental health issues or any other issues that anybody has that they may need support for stop. So I love being the catalyst that helps them, get to where they want or need to be in that way. And that I love it.
Awesome, thanks. And just for clarification, and when I made the statement, when we turn our cameras off or we close our computer and we may not be employed with our designated agencies, that we choose in our own person-centered pathway to recovery to continue this work into that, right? And most of us had a pre-existing pathway or experiences that we brought into our employment, but that doesn't mean that it's interchangeable or that it is interchangeable, that we don't just sit here and preach from where we're at, but we're actually hopefully walking and using the services and the tools that we'll discuss further in our actual personal life. And so, Crystal, what is it about you being a recovery warrior that allows you to meet people where they're at?
I think my level of empathy and the fact that I've been in those shoes. I've had a lot of struggles in my day, and I truly just try to be the person that I wish that I had. Like the days that were the hardest for me and I felt the most alone and I wish that I had someone there. I try to be that person that I wish that I could have spoke to, that would have just listened to me non-judgmentally and said, okay, well, what do you want to do right now? Not like you should do this and you should do that, but just someone who genuinely wants to listen and hear what I have to say. And I think that's, part of our building relationships is being able to be that person that can just sit there.
Empathy, genuinely, and person-centered. It was great. I think a lot of people, when they hear recovery coaching or substance use disorders or support and tools, that people, if they're not living with an active or have past experience with a substance use disorder, they're like, oh, I don't really have that issue or that problem. But I found that SOR2 is so much different and the resources are so broad that we can really bring all of that we have to the families of those impacted by substance use disorders and support, advocate, and even coach them to overcome the hurts and hangups from their loved one's substance use disorders. Crystal, what's your extent of experience with family support over at MHA?
We have lots of there's a lot of varying ways of family support. It's, actually we're kind of veering that way as like the SERPA, under our umbrella of being a certified recovery peer advocate. There's now like a family branch off of that and soon to be like a youth branch off of that, which is great. So we can kind of, help everyone because we already are. But there's a lot of different family support systems in place that we, when we're dealing with one of our clients, we're also very enmeshed in their family. So we deal with them in lots of different ways, getting them involved in recovery events and walks and things like that. They feel very included when they get to do stuff like that with their loved ones.
I think that's awesome. That's actually very awesome.
I don't think I could have said it any better.
Oh,
I think that's really you said the word walk. And we all have to walk together, not just you and I, but we, all of us, meaning the entire community, whether it's you are the one living with an SUD, or you're the loved one, or simply you don't even have to have either or, and you could just be a recovery warrior because you see the way that it's impacting your community and your neighbors and the people around you. So great feedback, Crystal. I appreciate it. And I love our hashtag, and I love the name of this podcast, Stigma Busters. It came from a collaboration and a partnership that started a little over a year and a half ago. Is stigma, 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 right? And this is the part where we may have to use words that are non-stigma aware, is drug addicts, crackheads,
Junkie.
drunkie, and that's not who we are. We are people that are been affected by the overuse or the misuse of whatever substance we used in the past or we currently are using. And I think busting the stigma on a daily basis is so crucial to being inclusive, not exclusive. Because I also understand that there are people that prefer to show themselves or say, yeah, I'm a drug addict, because that helps them remember where they came from. And so we have to be inclusive of that as well, but also try to help them realize that that's what you're affected by. That's not who you are. That's not what you were made to be. That's what happened to you. So being, stigma busters on this platform, school platforms, legislative platforms, is really important to bring everybody into the understanding of what the recovery movement is trying to do and is doing.
Hold on, Scott. Let's pause for a second and let your camera. Let's pause for a second. Let your camera reorient. You're breaking out.
Am I back? Am I back?
Yes,
Hear you.
you're back.
All
There
right.
you are.
Sorry about that, guys.
That's okay. No worries.
I can't tell because I see myself moving it.
I just wanted to add something you were saying, Scott. You said that's not who we are meant to be. That's not who we're made to be, right? Those are like things that we went through in life. And it's crazy because I always say like this, my life in recovery, this is my new life. My old life, my new life. This is my new life, right? So like in my old life, when I was really struggling and I was in active use, something inside of me always said, this isn't what I was made to be.
That's right.
I was not made to be a drug addict. Like, what is this, right? Like, I'm a very smart girl with a lot of like potential, and I'm creative, and I know that there's good parts of me. So like, why is this happening to me? And I used to have that thought a lot. And only until like now, recently on the other side, right? On the flip side, looking back, I get it. I understand. And as a recovery warrior, that's what makes us a warrior. When we can live in that moment and also have this moment, right? Like I'm in recovery. I stand strong that I'm in recovery, and I had that experience and I lived that life, but I also get to live this life too. And that's like the crazy, like profound thing about recovery. And, teaching people that like, you can be that person and that is a part of you, but it doesn't have to define you forever. You can also change. You can also be someone new. You can continue to grow and educate and, be whatever you want to be, regardless of yesterday. And that's like the best part about it. And for me as a recovery warrior, like that's the stuff that fuels my flame. And I'm just like, yeah, I did that once, but look at me now.
Yeah.
And like tomorrow's going to be even better. So stay tuned, like it's exciting, and seeing other people get to that point, like that empowers me. Empowering them empowers me. It's like a cycle, and we help each other and we feed each other. And I mean, like, it's just beautiful. You can't like make that up. It's not like, I don't know. It's just crazy.
Undeniable hope.
Right.
You can't deny the hope and the resurrection that we've had, because we can relate to the park benches and the rubbing two pennies together, and not being able, at least for me, not being able to take hot showers and being displaced or homeless, to where I'm at today is nothing. People that I haven't talked to in years, they're like, who are you? We become, through the grace that we've received, completely new beings.
Brand new.
And I
There's
love how
there's little resemblance, right, from our stories, but
Right.
those are just stories.
right.
Go ahead, Deshaun.
I love how she said the words "stay tuned." I love how she said that. Like what you see, like even though you see me now and I'm doing well, I'm going to be trying harder tomorrow. So stay tuned. What I like it, starting from her story where she was until she is now, and then there's more to come. So I love that, like, stay tuned, because you're going to see much better from me, like regardless. So I'm going to keep growing. That only shows that it's better, like where she was now to where she's now, and she has so much more room to grow. So I love how you said that, Crystal. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
And that's gonna, and I'm gonna actually tell people that a lot of times, stay tuned. I tell people to stay tuned, because who you are now may not be who you are tomorrow. Stay tuned.
Come on.
That's right.
Oh, we're on fire right now, Crystal. That was a gem. And I think I'm just going to repeat it again. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
You will be better tomorrow than you're doing right now. It gets better. It does.
It only
does.
gets better.
Yeah.
And truthfully, it gets better because I have new people that come into my life every day. We meet people every day. I always tell people, like, I'm really sorry. I probably won't remember your name. I'm horrible at remembering names, because I meet people every day. But through all of those people that I meet, I learn about me. I grow. I learn. They teach me stuff. They do stuff, and I'm like, oh wait, I kind of like that. Like, I never even knew about that. If I didn't have all these people come into my life on a daily basis, I wouldn't grow the way that I grow. And the more people that come into my life, I feel like I grow in different ways all the time. And it's just like, wait a minute. And you can't take credit for it yourself. Like, this isn't just about me. This is all the people that are intertwined with me. And it's just like, why would I not want to do that? Why would you not want to be a recovery coach? Like, I get paid to do this. It's like the best job ever. I get paid to be like a cheerleader and your best friend. Like, cool. Yeah. I'm down.
Character development is key. And I love how you said that. Character development is key. Like, you're going to continue to develop who you are. Who you are today is not going to be the same as who you are tomorrow. Like you said, you meet new people every day, and everybody you meet brings something new into your life. Like, it's great.
And I think that goes back to being a recovery warrior. We have the unique ability to train for the battle that's already occurring and the war that's already been won. It's just, you have to train for the battle right now so you can experience the victory that is already yours. May not even know it. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
I love that.
And
that sounds like a TV show. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back. Stay tuned to see who you will be tomorrow.
That's
and
right.
Even in 5 minutes, and as soon as this podcast is over and my office door opens, I'm gonna be someone new that I've never been before. And that kind of leads me into the next segment is, in order for that change to happen, we have to access the level of care that we need to identify what's caused us to not, or that's caused us to get to where we want to be as quickly. And accessing that care is so crucial. There's resources and providers and medications and facilities and recovery warriors right down the street from wherever you are right now that are willing to help you access those services and that care, because you are cared for, we are cared for, and we are so deeply loved on a spiritual and even a non-spiritual basis for some people. But for me, I know my recovery is rooted in a spiritual manner, that I tried everything else. Nothing helped until I had a psychic change and my spirit within me was lifted. And that only happened because someone assisted me to access a level of care that I couldn't do on my own. And every day I can't remember the last time that I didn't talk about accessing care, because it's so crucial.
It's ingrained in who you are now, to the point where it's like it's second nature now.
Yeah.
It's second nature. And we as recovery warriors, this has to be second nature to us.
Right.
Because if it's not second nature to us, if we don't breathe it, almost, we can't really help the people that we want to, the way they want to be helped. We have to be able to know our stuff, breathe it, live it, eat it. We have to go to sleep with it on our minds, wake up with it on our minds, in order to be the recovery warriors that we are.
You were going to say something, Crystal?
Yes, I was just thinking that, I remember at one point someone said to me, it's your choice. You choose to be happy, you choose to be sad, you choose the suffering, you choose to use, you choose, it's your choice. And I have been abused a lot in my life in multiple different ways, right? So the anger and the depths of despair and pain that I felt on a daily basis, and I chose to not let it go for a really long time because it was comfortable. And it's hard to let that go when it's comfortable. But when I realized that it was my choice and I had the power to take my power back, that changed everything for me. Everything. I never knew. I just didn't know that I could take my power back and that it was mine to have. I gave my power to everyone my whole life as a people pleaser and trying to have someone approve of me. And, God forbid my mom felt some type of way about me or was disappointed, right? I was always giving my power away. And when I felt like, okay, it is my choice and I can choose to be happy, I can choose to be sober, I can choose to not suffer anymore. Okay, well, today is a new day then, because I never knew that. And I say that to people all the time. And it's I feel like kids, right? We have to say things over and over again. And then eventually it sinks in. So I just say it. I'm like, well, that's your choice. You can choose that today, So I just say it all the time, because if you don't know, you don't know. And you can't do better until you know better. So I think just knowing those things, sometimes we just assume that people know, and we can't assume that they know. So I don't know.
And until it gets to the point, like all three of us and so maybe some of the listeners, they know, but it's as simple as having a willingness to believe in the power that can be received by accessing care. And there's a stigma that comes with accessing care. But that's where the recovery role, the recovery warrior comes in, and that they can walk on the front lines with you, shield and sword, and fight that stigma. So your person-centered approach to access your personal power is what it's all about.
That's correct.
You know, some of the care that we're talking about is, you know, the MOUD services, you know, medication for opiate use disorder, MOUD. And, you know, I'm on conference calls and meetings and webinars all the time, and there's this approach and that approach and this, that, and the other thing. You won't know until you try. You won't. You can't take other people's experiences. You can't even take my word for it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'll be honest, I've never tried medication, MOUD or MAT. That just wasn't in that. That's just not the path that was. I didn't even know it was a path, honestly, when I first came into recovery. You know, Crystal and I have similar stories, but I have seen the implementation of those services be so successful and not.
Yes.
But if we put all of ourselves into it and trust and find a recovery coach that can walk with us to access it, and if it doesn't work, we take a step back and we try a different approach. Take a step back, try a different approach until we find the approach that works for us and that we can find joy.
You got to play Goldilocks and the Three Bears. This porridge is too hot. This porridge is too cold. You know, it's got to be like, we're not going to, a lot of times you're not going to try the first porridge and be like, this is perfect. Maybe too hot, maybe too cold, but but eventually you're going to find something that's right for you. You know, you might not even know that there's another alternative out there, but that might work for you. But this is why, you know, having a recovery warrior by your side comes in place. That way they can give you many alternatives and things that you can do. So, and then it's your choice whether you want to try it or not. You want to try, you don't think medication is right for you? All right, what else would you like to try? You know, like, so we're the ones, you tell us what you want, we'll serve you the porridge. You don't like that porridge, it's too hot for you? Okay, we'll come give you another bowl. If that's too cold for you, all right, that's fine. Let's keep going until we find something that's just right for you. Just right.
And I think that leads, Deshaun, you led us into the recovery tools and the plethora of tools that are available to us to literally here, take all of them, do all of them, do one of them, do two of them, do any of them.
Do whatever
right?
you can manage.
One of my favorite and easiest to complete within a short time frame is the 8 dimensions of wellness assessment. It allows you to identify whether it's physical, emotional, spiritual, occupational, financial, social, what dimension is full and what dimension is not quite full. But you still have the opportunity to work on any dimension you want at any time. Today, I want to work on my physical dimension. Tomorrow, I'll work on my financial and make a budget. And then on Thursday, I'm going to work on my social. I want to make a new friend, or I want to go to a social group. I want to be able to go to the gym and overcome my anxiety of social anxiety or living with social anxiety. And there's no rules to this. There's no.
I like to use that a lot with my people, and I help them to establish their values, because a lot of people don't even know what their values are in the beginning, right? And then like we'll do it every couple months or 6 months because it's constantly changing. Like I could be really concerned about my friend group today, but tomorrow or next week I have something come up and I'm like, I really need to start going back to church. Like I need some spiritual connection, you know? So things like that, they change. It's seasonal, right? It's seasonal, the things that we're worried about. But I think in every time that we do that, we reassess values, and then we reassess what we're focusing on, and we reassess whatever's going on around that. And that leads us to the recovery tools, right? Like we can then move into, you know, smart tools and self-management, or doing yoga if you want to do exercise, and Y12SR, which is like a huge thing that yoga 12-step recovery is Y12SR. And that's like a huge tool that people use now. It's like integrating AA with yoga. So it's like just crazy, it's like, wow, that's awesome. But you can like guide people around like whatever it is that they're working on. And it changes for people all the time, which is cool. And then they're like, wait, I'm doing really, really well in that area now. And they learn more about themselves and their own self-awareness, which is
What
all
is the
part of
name
it.
of that again? Y2SR?
Y12SR, Yoga 12-Step Recovery, Y12SR.
See, something I learned about today. Yoga 12-step recovery. Now that's
Yep.
another pathway I can introduce to anybody who may be interested in it. So thank you,
You're
Crystal.
welcome. I am also certified in Y12SR.
Short plug.
Oh,
Love
you
it.
don't say.
Love it. But that's it. You gotta if we don't mention him, right?
How would they
then
know, right?
How
You
would we
gotta
know?
know, right?
Yeah, I haven't heard about Y12SR. It's been, man, 7 years since I've heard about anyone even talk about it.
Really?
Yeah,
I just did it during COVID, like 2020.
right.
And now every year for the New York State, the Friends of Recovery, the recovery conference, I've been the presenter for Y12SR for the past 2 years. This will be my third year coming up. So they gave me a full hour this year. I'm like,
Nice.
but
That's
it's
awesome.
super exciting and it's nice because I'm always, always learning, always growing.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah, and some other path, like, right, that's a pathway. Smart recovery is a pathway. Um, Dharma or refuge recovery is another way. 12-step meetings. I know there's a huge stigma around 12-step meetings, and my personal opinion, for what it's worth, it may have just been that one meeting you went to. Don't let one meeting
Ruin it.
dictate your outlook on an international proven pathway for people.
Absolutely.
Try a different meeting.
Absolutely. I am a huge, advocate for AA. I mean, I say this over and over again. I don't identify as an alcoholic. I've never had an issue really with drinking. I choose not to drink. But AA was my pathway. And it's not about the alcohol or the substance. It's about the baseline. It's about the steps. It's about the work. It's about getting over the things that make you want to do the thing, right? So it's about getting a sponsor and understanding and allowing someone else to lead the way for you when you don't know a better way anymore and your ways are not working. That's what it was about for me. I don't know what I'm doing right now. Someone please show me a different way. That's all that it was about.
Because my way is not working.
Right. My way's not working. Teach me something new, please.
Yeah.
And in the midst of it, it was nice because when you're with a sponsor, you can also, do different things, whatever, according to your own self. So we did a lot of codependency work. So I did the CODA 12 steps. I did all the 12 steps for codependency. And that was really a lot of the work that I did with my sponsor, my AA sponsor. So you never know, like it leads you to other stuff. So being closed off, you're only hurting yourself. Like just try it once.
Yeah.
I mean, when we were using, were we like, oh no, I don't want to try that. Like, no, not really. We're like, oh yeah, sure, I'll try that. But in recovery, you're not going to be like, oh yeah, I'll try that. Well, maybe you should.
Someone told me you have to chase after recovery as hard or harder than you traced after your last use.
Amen. That's
and I don't know, I chased states. So I gotta be willing to go an hour, 2 hours, 12 hours, whatever it takes for me to find the peace and joy that I'm experiencing in this moment again in 5 minutes or tomorrow, whatever it may be. Some other tools, interactive journaling, because we're just going to run out of time. So interactive journaling, RAT plans, intersection is another pathway that we could talk about for another hour. So if there's a pathway or you want to find out more about all these pathways and about these tools that you don't even really need to do them with a recovery coach, they're really directed and created for you to kind of do on your own, but it is definitely, like Crystal said, easier with a sponsor or an advocate, a recovery coach, a recovery warrior that's experienced and understands the science behind some of these tools. You know, we're always available here at Independent Living and of course at MHA Dutchess and all of our providers across the region, whether it's RCAT and foundations or ADAC or people, we're all here to support and and give access to recovery and access to a better way of life to anyone that is seeking it, and to continue to bust all stigma, not just one in particular, but all stigma. It has no place in society anymore, and we have to redefine what it means to have a human experience because it's lost and it's fear driven and it's angry and it's lonely. So let's just not be in that place anymore and continue to be recovery warriors. Crystal and Deshawn, I want to thank you so much again for sharing this space with us, the listeners and myself. And you know, of course, as always, be your most authentic self. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. And whatever stage of recovery you're at, whether it's a maintenance or ambivalent, or it doesn't matter. You know, you can go back and forth, but just continue to love that person that's in the mirror on purpose. And my name's Scott, and I love myself ferociously on purpose today.
My name's Crystal, and I love myself on purpose today.
My name is Deshawn, and even if I don't love myself on purpose every day, I'm still going to try.
There you go. Thanks, Deshawn. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next month. Stay well.
Thank you guys so much.